Here's a not so hot take. The recruiting star ranking system, let's ditch it. Let's get rid of it. Let's throw it in the round file.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Hulkin, and thank you. Thank you for making Locked On USC. It's part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're watching this show on YouTube, you already know this. I tell you every day you tune in, you can download this podcast anywhere, and this show is always going to be free, and this show is always going to appreciate your support. Let's just cut to the chase. The recruiting services are crap, and they're biased against USC commits. No other way to say it. The newest version of On3 Rivals, top 300 recruiting rankings, came out. And yeah, there are some weird things going on in there. USC still has a really good recruiting class, just not the number one anymore. I'll get into that more as we go through the show. As you can see on the rundown, we're going to be talking about recruiting, especially in the first two segments. And then in the third segment, talk a little bit about USC's new home, the Big Ten Conference. They've been around now for a year. They have a right to have an opinion. And on that opinion, we're going to talk about in the third segment. So stick around. So someone at Rivals On3, the recruiting side of On3 is called Rivals. If you are talking about the team itself, you refer to them as On3. I know, confusing, huh? Well, that's the way of the world. That's the way of the recruiting world. Someone at the organization needs to be held accountable. They need to explain why they do things the way they do. And in this particular case, I'm talking about their rankings, their top 300. Because if they don't, I think it's going to leave a lot of doubt in their credibility when it comes to player evaluations. Y'all already know how I feel about the system in general. This isn't just about On3 Rivals or anything. I hate the star ranking system. I think it's subjective. I think it's biased. And I think it's a bunch of hooey. You know how I feel about it. Look at the programs that are recruiting you. If those programs like a USC and Alabama and Ohio State, those blue bloods, if they're coming after you, you're a really good player. I don't care if you're a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. It doesn't matter. Those programs want you. And that's all that matters. So again, Rivals On3, they released their summer evaluations, and dear Lord, someone forgot to flush and light a match in the men's bathroom. I mean, that's how bad these things stink. I mean, I've smelled some nasty before, but nothing like what Rivals dropped. Nothing. Charles Powers, he was at On3. He's still at On3 before Shannon Terry's On3 network gobbled up the Rivals network, brought him back into the fold. Well, all of a sudden, I don't know, he's either become incompetent, biased, whatever, because his trained eyes have changed their mind. Remind everybody, Charles is the director of scouting and rankings for On3. Prior to On3, he worked as a national analyst and writer over at 24/7 Sports. And he's also founded and ran his own national scouting service as well. So he's not some novice, but make you wonder all of a sudden what's going on. When the new rankings came out on Monday, this is what he said. This is how he prefaced the first Rivals 300. The initial 2026 Rivals 300 is a culmination of everything we've seen to this point: junior film, all-star games, and a ton of in-person evaluations over the past several months. This ranking sets the table for the senior season, which is the most important evaluation point for Rivals, end quote. I guess. We'll see if that happens. However, let's review the initial top 300. So on May 30th, Mark Bowman, he was considered the number 1 rated tight end in the country, was a 5-star according to On3. On July 14th, On3, who again, when it comes to recruiting, we call them Rivals. I guess they switched over to their formula. they dropped him to a 4-star. So what the hell happened? Did he get shorter? Did he get slower? Did he forget how to run his routes at a more advanced stage than Brock Bowers at this point? Seriously, what gives? What changed between May 30th and July 14th? Can someone please explain to me what's going on? Because I need another reason to justify why I look. If I needed another reason to justify why I cannot stand the star system, well, here you go. Period. And I'm also really curious about these in-person evaluations. Yeah, I'm a little skeptical about that one. Here's another one. How did Booby Feaster go from a rival's 5-star to a 4-star? He dropped 50 spots. But wait, like the ShamWow guy, it gets better. Kenai Pepe dropped from the number 24 overall player in the country to the 299th best. He barely squeezed in the top 300. Oh, by the way, happy birthday, Kenai. Surprise. Apparently, you're not that good anymore. Sarcasm. You're great. Your ranking, I don't know. Weird. Kenai is rated as a top 15 overall player by 247, as well as ESPN, and respectively, he's the number 6 and number 2 overall offensive tackle, but Rivals has him as the 27th best offensive tackle in the country. Where is the... Hello? Tell me why these evaluations are so far apart. Again, the notion that Rivals tagged him as only the 299th best player in the country? I mean, seriously, is someone smoking drugs? Another thing, there is some major disrespect for the West Coast. Not just California, the West Coast in general. There are only 24 4-stars or elite players from California on Rivals 300, and just 37 in their composite ranking. It's a really low number. Talanoa Ely, he was a borderline 5-star. Now he's barely making the 4-star cut. The other two major recruiting services, 247 ESPN, top 50 overall. How does a player who has offers from everyone in the country get dropped like that? Oh, good luck finding Tom Tapui on the top 300 list. Don't waste your time. You're not going to find him. I'll say it again. The best defensive tackle on the West Coast, playing in the best high school league in the country. He never loses a rep when he goes to all the different camps. Someone explain this to me. I don't get it. That's why I hate the star system. Again, guys got offers from everybody in the country, but somebody at Rivals think, he's just not that good. Stupid. I mean, you hate thinking the game is rigged, or if you hate believing in conspiracy theories. But seriously, come on now. Explain yourself. I mean, dropping Jonas Williams, USC's quarterback, out of the top 10 quarterback list, and then moving Bryson Beaver, who's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to knock Bryson Beaver to uplift Jonas Williams. But a month ago, Bryson was a 3-star. Now he's considered a top 5 quarterback in the country? Yeah, as Baghdad Bob would say, move along, nothing to see here. Bryson Beaver went from the 850th best player in the country overall to the 44th best country, 44th best player in the country. Give me a freaking break. I watched him at Elite 11, the last major camp, tournament, whatever, since this ranking came out. He was good, but he wasn't great. Certainly wasn't better than Jonas. And no, that's not the homer in me talking. That's my untrained eyes talking. I'm saying again, on 3, Rivals, your recruiting side of the industry, right now, your initial top 300 should be ashamed of itself for peddling that stuff. I get it. Southeast, certain portions of the country, you get more eyes watching. But can you try and fake it a little bit better? I mean, whatever it took to get USC out of that #1 ranked recruiting class spot, look at all the manipulation that you had to do to get it done. Dropping players. And even then, the difference between #1 Georgia and #2 USC, yeah, you can't fit it between my thumb and forefinger. That's the difference. We're going to talk about more of the top 300 in the next segment. USC had 17 players make that list, so we'll talk about that. In other words, I know I'm coming off like sour grapes, but now we're going to celebrate the actual 17 players and where they fell in line. I'll give you their rankings. That's coming up next. We've all been there, right? We all love music. We all love going to concerts. I think hopefully you like going to concerts. It's been a while since I've been to one, but when I find a concert I want to go to, I'll get in line, get in that cyber line. I'm waiting to get tickets. I want to, get the seat I want to get. And it's happened before. It's probably happened to you as well. All of a sudden you lose your place in line. You're like, oh shoot, now what do I do? Well, live music should be about making memories, right? Not about dealing with the stress of buying tickets. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Seriously, did you know this? That the prices will actually drop the closer you get to the first band hitting the stage. It's true. That's how it happens. Because of that, you can save up to 60% with their killer last minute deals. Ever wonder what your view is going to actually look like when you buy your ticket that late? Don't worry. With Game Time, they've got that panoramic seat view. There's going to be no surprises. And with Game Time, the price you see is the price you pay. There's no hidden fees. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and Showtime tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account. Redeem the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So they finally figured out a way to get USC to drop from that #1 spot in the country. Like I said, the end of that first segment. All you got to do is take USC's best players, just drop them down a notch, drop them down a peg. Remind them that they're human and that they're committed to USC and not some other program like Georgia or Alabama or Ohio State. It's really becoming obvious. As I mentioned, the difference between USC and Georgia, #2 USC, #1 Georgia, it's literally it's the width of a human hair. That's the difference between the player rankings. So again, some good news. As shocked as I was that Tom is still unranked in the top 300, Rivals doesn't even have him ranked in their national ranking. They actually believe there's 28 players in the state of California better than Tom Tapui. Yeah. Okay, you say so. I don't want to point my finger directly at Charles Powers, but the West Coast needs better recruiting evaluators because these numbers, it doesn't make any sense. But let's talk about the players and where they ended up. So again, as disappointed I was with Tom getting snubbed again, I was equally surprised with how high Vlad Diakonov moved up. So here's USC's 17 players, where they landed from highest ranked to lowest ranked. Again, here's where it gets a little confusing. Industry-wide, right? Kenai Pepe, Mark Bowman, they are USC's 2 5-star players. Yet Rivals, in their own little ranking, in their own file, they have them as 4-star players. Okay, you say so. Here are the guys who made the cut. USC's 17 players. USC's highest ranked player, number 8 overall in the country, edge player, Luke Wafel from New Jersey. He moved up. He went from the 15th best player to number 8. You like that kind of bump. He's obviously a dude. I mean, he was a dude before this, but now he's like top 10 in the country. Remember, USC got him away from Ohio State. Number 21, tight end, Mark Bowman. He committed to USC over Georgia and over Texas. So now he and Wafel are USC's 2 5-stars. Next in line, you got the 80th best player in the country, defensive lineman, Jamion Winfield. He picked USC over Texas. He was already a top 100 player. Nothing really changed there. Number 86, cornerback, Elbert Hill. He's now a high 4-star. The 101st best player in the country, wide receiver, Booby Feaster. Last week, he was a 5-star and the 50th ranked player in the country. He lost 50 spots. Is it because he committed to USC over LSU? I don't know. Some would say that might have played a role in this matter. The 102nd best player in the country, Vlad Diakonov. Yeah, offensive tackle from Folsom, California. He literally was one of the biggest risers. I mean, he wasn't even ranked among the top 400 prior to Monday's release. So he moved up 300 spots, literally. Number 110, cornerback, Brandon Lockhart, friend of the show. Number 122, running back, Sean Alston. By the way, if you haven't seen it on social media, go to my X timeline, formerly known as Twitter. Sean is squatting over a ton. Not at one time, but he literally had 5 reps of over 500 pounds. Yeah, it's a lot of weight. Samote Katoana, he checks in at number 132. USC staff considers him the best defensive end in the country. So Luke Wafel might have a higher ranking. Some would say USC staff thinks Samote is actually going to be a better defensive end. He might slide inside. Who knows? We'll see. Jonas Williams, he's number 147 out of the top 300. Again, I mentioned it a little bit ago. He dropped out of the top 10 quarterbacks somehow. I guess Lincoln Riley doesn't have trained eyes for quarterbacks anymore. Number 159. Yeah, that was sarcasm, by the way, for some of you. Cornerback, Peyton Dyer. Remember, Peyton committed to USC over Georgia, over Penn State. He was once committed to South Carolina. Excuse me. Checking in at number 189, wide receiver Luke Weaver. On 3 had him in there, had Luke ranked in the top 200. So Rivals takes over. He's still in the top 200. You got number 240, wide receiver Roderick Tizano. Okay, nothing wrong there. Number 245. Again, this one is a little disgusting. Linebacker, Talanoa Ely. I don't get this ranking. I really don't. It makes no sense whatsoever. The top linebacker prospect on the West Coast, offered by everyone. Number 245 in the country. Whatever. I really would like to have a sit down with the evaluators so I can get a more definitive explanation for why. Number 250, defensive lineman Braden Jones. For what it's worth, just to show you the disparity, 247 has him ranked 152nd overall. So that's a 100-point difference. Why? What does Rivals see? Or what does 247 see that Rivals doesn't see? Number 279, running back, Deshaun Rideau. Okay. Typically, the West Coast best running back isn't going to be that low. But just to kind of, put everything into context. Deshaun picked USC over Georgia, over Michigan, over Oregon, UCLA, Washington. All those programs tend to run the ball more than USC lately. So why did he drop to 279? Why is he barely scratching the top 300? I'm telling you, Rivals, for me, this is where they lost a ton of credibility. When they checked in with the 299th best player in the country. His name, Kenai Pepe. He's ranked number 6 overall by 247. Number 18 overall by ESPN. I'm telling you, someone at Rivals is suffering from CTE because someone there thinks there are 26 offensive tackles better than Pepe. That's just nuts. That's coconuts. It's disgusting. I don't like coconuts, by the way. I like the smell. I just don't like the flavor. I don't know why. So there you go. 17 Trojans in the first top 300 from Rivals. As Charles Power said, the senior season is the most important evaluation period. Let's see how many Trojan prospects make the list when they watch their senior season. Because right now, I'm not happy with that top 300. In fact, I'm pretty disappointed. If I was the top 300's father, the person who put it together, I'm sending them to their room without dinner or dessert. That's how bad it was. Go think about it. All right, one more segment to go. We're going to talk about the Big Ten Conference and why they haven't changed their name yet. Remember the Pac-8 conference? Pac-10? Pac-12? Each time the Conference of Champions expanded, what did they do? They changed their name to match the number of participants. Made sense, right? Of course it did. I mean, financially, it didn't matter how much it cost. Whatever the branding change, whatever the cost to change the brand, pay it. Change the logo. It's not that hard. I mean, Tom Hansen, Larry Scott, they threw lavish parties to get it done. If you followed the Pac-10, Pac-12, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. The waste of money that went from anyways. You understand where I'm going with that. So look, even the Big 8 changed their name when they expanded. I know they haven't changed since their recent additions, but they did before. But for whatever reason, the Big Ten didn't feel like paying for the change. Even when they expanded to 11 teams, when Penn State jumped from being an independent. And then each time they added more programs, the name remained the same. The Big Ten. Doesn't matter. You got 14 teams. Now the conference is up to 18. You brought in the 4 programs from the Conference of Champions, formerly known as the Pac-12, Pac-10, Pac-8. USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon. I stopped calling the Big Ten a while ago. A lot of you hear me. I refer to them as the big conference. Makes sense. Look, to all you traditional Big Ten fans, I respect your passion. I respect your arrogance. Trust me, I can relate. I really can. However, I was right when I started to refer to USC's new conference as the Big Conference. I dropped the 10 from the name. It made no sense. I mean, hell, just look at the conference logo right now, as it is today. It's a capital B with the number 1 and a capital G. Yeah, it spells big. And if you want to get technical, if the G is supposed to be a 0, it looks more like a 6. So the Big Ten Communications Department put out 6 reasons why the conference has kept its name the way it is. Quote, think of 10 as a word, not a number. For decades, the Big Ten name has been more than a simple descriptor. It's a symbol of tradition, leadership, excellence, not head counts, end quote. Their short answer was this. The name isn't a head count. Keeping it maintains tradition, and it's smart business. Here is their longer answer. I'm going to give you their 6 reasons how they rationalize this. Number 1, we almost contemplated changing it. What was the result? Immediate backlash. University presidents, athletic directors, students, and alumni all loudly opposed the idea. Here's a little fun fact for everyone. Did you know that the Big Ten Conference didn't actually come up with the name? No, they didn't. A journalist coined the term Big Ten in 1917, and it wasn't until 1987 that they formally adopted it. So there you go. That's when the Big Ten was incorporated in 1987. That's when they could trademark that name. Now, I do agree. Changing it to the Big 11 would have been stupid. Reason number 2, consistency is in conference realignment. College athletics is one of the fastest evolving industries in the country. It has undergone seismic changes in the past decade, and schools are joining and leaving conferences every year. If conferences change their names each time they expanded, it'd be extremely difficult to keep track of what schools are where. A stable, recognizable name like the Big Ten provides clarity and consistency. It's our North Star. That lie got me. That's why I'm laughing out loud. Okay, next time, do me a favor. Big Ten Communications Department, just say nothing because that was a lame response. I do not want to hear it's our North Star. You used it out of context. Number 3, it's about more than numbers. For more than 100 years, the words Big Ten have been synonymous with rich traditions and lasting legacies that recognize. They then went on to list, the conference resume with everything from academics, and championships, and Olympic medals. Yeah, I think USC has more Olympic medals than the Big Ten or the big conference throughout our history. Number 4, what do fans really care about? Well, our fans don't watch Big Ten games or wear their school's merchandise because of the conference name. They know there are 18 schools in the Big Ten. What they care about is what the conference means to them. When someone watches Big Ten sports, they're not counting the school logos on the screen. They're there for the high-quality competition that they've come to expect when they hear the Big Ten name, end quote. That was my response. I literally rolled my eyes when I read it because that was literally nothing more than filler. That was filibustering. Number 5, it's standard in the sports industry. The Big Ten isn't the only conference or organization to stick with a name that doesn't quite add up. And then they tried to rationalize it by saying, the Big 12 has 16 schools. The Atlantic 10 has 15 members. Again, stop trying to stretch this communique out. No need. I mean, what kind of reason was that? Well, they're doing it, so we're doing it. Okay. Number 6, finally, not every sport has 18 programs. Even within the Big Ten, not every school has a team for each sport. And some sports have affiliate member schools outside of the 18 full-time members. For example, hockey has 7 teams and includes Notre Dame. Well, to quote the church lady, isn't that special? Tell you what, the next time someone asks me why the USC versus Notre Dame game needs to be played annually, I'm going to use the big conference short answer to cover my bases. All the excuses for why not aren't important. Keeping it maintains tradition, and it's smart business. Makes sense. Excuse me. I'm just going to keep, from now on going forward, I'm done calling it the Big Ten. It's the big conference. Just look at the logo. That's all you need to know. Here's what else you need to know. I'll be back again tomorrow. There'll be another episode of Locked on USC because we do this 5 times a week. If you are watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet, no one to blame but yourself. Click that red subscribe button. Keep you updated with everything you need to know. Smash that thumbs up. You like the show, that's why you're here every day. And click that bell notification so you don't miss another episode, so you don't miss any of this great content. Oh, by the way, 46 days away from kickoff against Missouri State, beat the Bears. Till that next episode, everyone, you know what to do. And when you're done with Locked On USC, get on over there to wearesc.com.